For months, we have been keeping a secret, and last week I finally got to let the cat out of the bag for our email subscribers, and now I get to share it with all of you. Hey there, my name is Vanessa Kaiser. I'm a ranch girl turned social worker turned business leader turned entrepreneur. I love to explore all things organization, leadership, growth, inspiration, and efficiency. There's a phrase we use a lot around here called rhythmic living, which I define as the continuous cycle of assessing what season of life we're in and how we create habits, routines, and processes that support our current season. This show is for business owners, leaders, mamas, aunties, sisters, and friends who want to grow and live inspired. Welcome to the Inspiring Heights podcast. My sister Alicia and I love to share podcasts with each other that we are listening to and enjoying. And last year, she sent me the Gold Digger podcast by Jenna Kutcher. Jenna is a business and marketing guru with inspired and relatable content. And my introduction to her show was an episode on work-life balance. Like so many in today's age, Jenna isn't a huge fan of the language work-life balance. She instead prefers the phrase work-life integration. Have you ever reached for a bottle of pain reliever to kick those cramps to the curb? Or an allergy pill when the pollen is flying and your nose just will not stop running? Me too, girl. Me too. But here's the thing. Allergy medicine knocks me out. And I would much rather be reaching for a natural remedy that treats the root cause and not just the symptoms. That's why I was thrilled when my friend introduced me to Earthly. It has worked wonders for me. As in, I haven't had to take ibuprofen for those stubborn cramps since I started using Earthly. Kind of worked. I knew I couldn't keep this gem to myself. Earthly Wellness is a family-owned company founded to help solve some of their daughter's health issues. Their mission is to change the way that the world views healthcare. Earthly believes that everyone should have equal access to all types of medicine and be free to choose their approach to their own health. Earthly offers a wide variety of products, from herbal remedies, my personal favorite that we use every day in our house, to cleaning products and so much more. Just head over to earthly.com/REF/Inspiring Heights to discover the natural way to wellness. Check out the show notes for a link and special coupon codes for up to 10% off Inspiring Heights listeners. Just follow the link and add the coupon code at checkout that's most appropriate for you. All this is linked for you in the show notes. Here's the definition of work-life integration according to ChatGPT. It is, quote, a concept that emphasizes blending personal and professional responsibilities in a more seamless and flexible way, rather than compartmentalizing them into distinct separate areas. It focuses on creating harmony between work and life by allowing them to coexist and complement each other, end quote. This podcast episode was a seed planted for me. It wasn't something I'd mastered immediately, and honestly, it's a way of life that I am still learning how to lean into. See, I'm a recovering workaholic, and unlike an older version of myself, I no longer see that as a badge of honor. Instead, I see it for what it is. When I slip back into my workaholic tendencies, it means that I don't have a firm handle on how to do things, like prioritize, set good boundaries, or even name what really matters to me. But when I was in the throes of my workaholic tendencies, I didn't really want to talk about work-life balance very much. I think part of why that conversation is so challenging is because if you are someone who tends to have workaholic tendencies, the conversation always feels like an all or nothing approach. Like you always have to prioritize life over work. There is never an appropriate place for it to be the other way around. And that doesn't really seem like real life. If you're someone who tends to approach work with a more compartmentalized approach, tending to often choose life over work, the work-life balance discussion can leave one feeling like they're slacking in their work life. Either way, there tends to be some understandable apprehension around the conversation as a whole. This unease is then amplified in the workplace. The question always hangs over the heads of anyone in leadership. If I talk about work-life balance, or if I take it a step further and promote it, will my team leave me high and dry to go to a child's friend's 6th birthday party instead of meeting a mission-critical deadline? Isn't it wild to think that all of the trepidation and uncertainty and uncomfortableness can really be traced back to that one little word, balance? Think about balance. When we lose our balance as humans, we fall over. If we put a book on our head and we balance, and then we sneeze, the book falls off. When a waiter balances a big plate of food on their arm and then they trip, it all comes crashing to the ground in a huge mess. And therein lies the inherent problem with the concept of balance as it relates to work and life. It indicates to us that if we don't straddle work and life perfectly and evenly, we will end up in a heap on the floor. I remember a season when I was the firm administrator. I had some time off coming up one month, and a couple of weeks before I was going to be away more than I usually was, I got super sick. I powered through the days as best I could at home, barely having a voice on calls and then sleeping in between the meetings. At the end of the week, I was circling up with my boss, and I apologized to him for how much time I was planning to be out of the office in the coming weeks, especially having been sick that week. And I remember his response almost word for word. He said, "You never have to apologize for taking time off, Vanessa. You worked so hard this week, even though you were sick, and I really appreciate that." See, in that moment, I was striving for balance. Balance says, I wasn't physically there this week, and I took more naps than I should have throughout the day. So my upcoming paid time off isn't good anymore. It's tipping the scale too much towards life. It's disrupting the even distribution of my time and attention. Work-life integration, on the other hand, says you do what you need to do. I needed to nap, and I needed to be on some of those calls. So I slept when I needed to, and I showed up online to the meetings when I needed to. Think about how beautiful life would be if we all leaned in to work-life integration. If we lived our lives purely awake to where we really needed to put our time, awake to our priorities, awake to our responsibilities. There would be moments when we did have to call the babysitter for a late night in the office deadline. And there would be other times when we say, "I'm sorry, I'm on vacation with my family and I need this time away. This work emergency can be handled by someone else and my family is my priority right now." Doesn't that sound so much better than the traditional work 8 to 5, feel super bad about any hours that I put in past 5 p.m. because I'm not with my family or friends, and then go on vacation and, quote, turn off my work phone, constantly worrying about missing something important? That stress and pressure comes from a few different places, but one of the roots is the misconception that work-life balance is real and attainable. So how do we let go of the misconception that work-life balance can exist and embrace work-life integration in a healthy way? Like I said in the beginning, I'm having this conversation with you while I'm still in the middle of learning from the past and learning in this present new season of entrepreneurship. And though I'm still learning, and I imagine I will be forever, there are a few things that have become really clear to me, and I want to share them with you. Number 1, sometimes work is going to be the priority. I told you I'm a recovering workaholic, so I can imagine that some of you might think it's rich that this is the first point that I'm leading with. But hear me out. If we can acknowledge that there will inevitably be seasons where we have to prioritize our work, where we have to say no to a family event, no to a coffee with friends, no to that community outing that we always attend. If we can recognize indeed that we will have those seasons, then we can start to acknowledge that they are just that, seasons. I like to call these punch seasons. I know I'm going to have to focus, to sacrifice, and to push. But here's the major shift from balance to integration. Balance says that in order for there to be a work push, it has to then be immediately followed by a family push in order that the two things stay in perfect balance. Integration says sometimes my work has to be the priority, the focus, and sometimes that's going to come at the sacrifice of life stuff. Sometimes life has to be the focus, the priority, and that's going to sometimes come at the cost of work stuff. The hope is that more than working to achieve balance, we are present where we are needed when we are needed to be there. Instead of keeping track of who's winning, work or life, we let our boundaries and our priorities drive our decision from one day to the next, or rather one moment to another. Number 2, integration can be really uncomfortable. Right after I listened to that Gold Digger podcast episode, I had a friend reach out who needed a ride to a doctor's appointment in the middle of the workday. My initial response was like, "Duh, I can't do that, I'm working." My work-life integration response was, I will take her to her appointment, and while she's there, I will work from the hotspot on my phone. And as I left the office that day at 2 p.m., I felt weird. Like, oh, I should totally be staying here. But 15 minutes later, I was back online and serving my team and my friend who really needed me to say yes that day. I think these feelings are part of why we don't run to the integration concept. Our brains have been taught for years that when we work, and when we play, and the two things should never be mixed. Otherwise, life is out of sync. But the reality is, life happens all times of the day, whether we're working or not. And it's better to be a little uncomfortable than it is to be filled with regret. Number 3, integration doesn't mean we forgo our boundaries. Embracing work-life integration doesn't mean that we are constantly on our phones working during dinner or at the t-ball game. It also doesn't mean that we show up with our latest knitting project to the all-staff meeting or pick up the phone for a 2-hour gab session with our bestie in the middle of the workday in our cubicle. Integration means we get comfortable with both work and life crossing paths, but not at the expense of our boundaries. People can be really good at work-life integration and still be workaholics. It's not a magic button for getting rid of that unhealthy relationship with work. As I was gearing up to start the business, I read Amy Porterfield's book, 2 Weeks Notice. In the book, she talks about setting your non-negotiables before you start your business. Things like not working after 6 p.m. or taking 2 breaks during the day, or no social media during work-focused time. To be honest, I've had to change my non-negotiables several times because this season is new and I didn't totally know what to expect. Even still, I am wildly grateful for her wisdom on this topic because even though my boundaries have changed about once a quarter for this entire year, I've held an awareness of the importance of them. Without boundaries, we have no way of knowing what's most important. We don't know how to prioritize, and we don't know when to say no. For integration to have impact, we have to know our limits. Number 4, for integration to actually work, you have to show up where you need to be. Work-life balance is an easier concept to grasp than integration. It's more black and white. It's clear. I work from 9 to 5. I have Saturday and Sunday off. Work never interferes with family time, and I never need to do anything personal during the workday. It's tidy and also unrealistic. Work-life integration, on the other hand, is much grayer. It's working in your car in the hospital parking lot so you can take your friend to a doctor's appointment during the middle of the workday. It's saying no to a girls' night out because you have a super important deadline that has to be prioritized. It's taking that phone call from your bestie in the middle of the workday because you know she only calls you at work if it's really, really important. It's both and. It's messy, and it only works if we actually do it. We can talk a good talk about work-life integration and then always prioritize work. We can say that we grasp the different seasons will call for different priorities, but then we constantly leave our team high and dry because we choose our kids' football game over mission-critical deadlines every single time. Work-life integration requires us to live present and aware of our priorities and the needs of those around us. We can't just talk the talk. We have to put in the work of actually walking it out. Finally, number 5. Work-life integration isn't a destination. It's a journey. Work-life integration is a collision of our work and personal lives. It's saying instead of keeping these two worlds in different containers and fighting hard to achieve perfect balance, I'm going to intermix the two. As much as I would like to tell you that there is a destination for achieving perfect work-life integration, I can't. I don't think it's actually true, and here's why. Our seasons of life, they're always changing. Having tiny humans at home is going to call for different priorities on our time than when we're empty nesters. Being a CEO of a company brings a different set of stresses and responsibilities to work than being an entry-level employee does. In each of our seasons, no matter what they bring, we will have to recalibrate, figure out what work-life integration looks like for us in this specific season. What are our boundaries? What matters the most to us? What are we willing to sacrifice, and where are we not? It's all ever-changing. And that, my friend, is simply the beauty of life. As we part ways today, I hope you are leaving feeling inspired to embrace integration and let go of the hamster wheel that is work-life balance. To live present to what your priorities are in each moment and make decisions that match them. Before I go, I have one more thing I want to share with you. For months, we have been keeping a secret, and last week, I finally got to let the cat out of the bag for our email subscribers, and now I get to share it with all of you. This October, Inspiring Heights Coaching will be launching our first ever self-paced online course called the Productivity Playbook, Strategies for a Harmonious Life. This course is a mixture of audio and workbook content. Stay tuned for details on the launch date and how you can be one of the first to get your hands on this incredible new tool.
And that's a wrap. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Do you have questions, comments, or insights on today's content? I would love to hear from you. You can DM me on Facebook or Instagram, or head over to our website, inspiringheights.org, and click on the Contact Us form. I will link all those locations here in the show notes. P.S. If you haven't already, I would love for you to leave a 5-star rating and a quick review of the podcast. This helps get our content in the hands of new listeners. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter and follow us on social media for rhythmic doses of inspiration. All right, friends, take a deep breath and be inspired where your feet are. Bye for now.